Hey, what is up, everybody? Welcome back to the HackSmarter Switch channel, or if you're watching this after the fact, welcome to my YouTube channel. My name is Tyler Ramsbey, and I am your host, and we are going to dive in and do some hacking this evening. Now, those on Twitch, you didn't go anywhere. That's a cool thing about watching on Twitch. You kind of get to see it behind the scenes. We just finished the last machine, and we are going to dive into a brand new machine. And so, without any further ado, let me go ahead and share my screen. What we are working with today is we're actually in the Pwn box. If you've never used the Pwn box, it is like a VM that you can deploy in your browser through HackTheBox. Generally speaking, I prefer using my personal VM, but my personal VM is in the process of updating and upgrading because there were some things that seem to be broken about it. So I'm just hoping updating it fixes it, but it's taking much longer than I anticipated. So we are going to continue to use the Pwn box. It means my flow might be off a little bit, but let's do this together. Now, as usual, I'm just going to pick a random machine and we will go through it. So this is the one we just accomplished, a driver. We were looking at the reviews for it, but let's find a random retired machine. I'm not allowed to do active machines on stream, but we'll pick a random retired machine and just see how far we get. Generally, I only stream on Wednesday nights, not Thursday nights, which is what it is now, and I try to just stream once a week. But I was stuck on that driver machine on a specific privilege escalation thing, and I hate being stuck. So that's why I'm back again with another video. So driver is what we just did, and you know what I need to do? I need to go ahead and close this machine out. Did that open it? Yeah, let's go ahead and close this out. Terminate that machine so that we can launch our next machine. Okay, so let's do easy again, just because I like having the option of guided mode if we use it. We didn't use it in the last one, but maybe if we get stuck, here's what I would encourage you to do is you work through HackTheBox. First, just try it on your own. No hints, no tips. If you get stuck, switch over to guided mode. That gives a little more try hack me feel, where it guides you to the answer but doesn't tell you the answer. And then if you're still stuck, look at a walkthrough. Looking at a walkthrough is not losing. You're only losing if you don't learn something. And if you get so frustrated you don't learn anything, then you're losing as well. So look at walkthroughs. When I was studying for the OSCP, I was constantly looking at walkthroughs and I passed. So it's good for you. All right, let's go ahead and sort. Let's do difficulty easy. And can I sort by like rating? I wonder. Sort by rating. That's what I want to see. Let's just see like the best rated retired boxes. Ones that I haven't done anyways. Apparently I didn't do root on good games. Okay, so I did active. I did Steam Cloud. I apparently halfway did good games. Here's irked. Which, ooh. Irked probably isn't that easy. We could do Nunchucks. Here's what I want to do. Let's do Nunchucks first. It has less solves, if I'm understanding this correctly. But if we open up irked, I think I can add it like to my to-do list, can't I? Oh, maybe not. All right. Let's do Nunchucks. How's that sound to you guys? Looks like a fun one. I haven't done it at all. It has a high rated machine. So let's go ahead and spawn our machine here. I terminated driver, didn't I? Yeah, it's terminated. Driver's offline. If I just refresh the page, that'll help. There we go. It is spawning up now, and let's go ahead and start a new note for it. Nunchucks. There we go. And I'm not sure how long I'll stream tonight, since I did stream last night, but we'll see if we can at least do some enumeration. Maybe we'll get access to the machine, get a user flag, but I don't know. We'll see. Actually want to check my VM. Let's see how this guy's doing. Oh, we're updating Seclist. As soon as my VM is done, I'm going to switch over to this, just because my workflow and everything works a lot better on my personal VM, but it's still updating. So we'll hang out in the Pwn box for now. Let's go ahead and grab our IP, go to the Pwn box, and we'll go ahead and add that to Etsy hosts. We can close all this out. Close terminal. We don't need that either. Close terminal. And close that as well. Yeah, there's no route to host because I killed the machine. make directory Nunchucks, I think. cd Nunchucks, there we go, sudo nano etc hosts. Nunchucks.HackTheBox. We should be able to ping it since it's a Linux machine. Yeah, beautiful. Okay, so what I like to do for my initial enumeration is first I do a very basic nmap scan. I'm not doing any enumeration on the ports. I just want to see what ports are open, and then we'll dig into each port individually. So what I like to do is nmap-p-, that flag right there says, hey, I want you to scan all the ports on the machine, not just the most common ports. When it comes to CTFs or even the real world, what some organizations will practice is security through obscurity. So maybe they have SSH running on a super non-common port, but it's still there, but you won't see it if you don't scan all the ports. So nmap-p-, and then we will just drop in our IP there, and -v for verbose because I'm impatient and I like to see it working. So right away, we can see we have a web server running, port 443 and port 80, and we can see we have SSH running on port 22. Now, what I like to do as that runs is I'll open a new one. We'll rename this, and I like to call it nmap full, because I'll let that continue to run, because it might discover something on one of those uncommon ports, but I'm also impatient. So while that one runs, I'll start another nmap scan, and I'll target those specific ports that are open. So we know we have port 2020, or 22, 80 and 443. I do -a, which means, hey, I want you to throw all the scripts at it, all the enumeration scripts that we have on each one of these services. Enumerate, look for version information. Let's see what we can find. And I think I called it Nunchucks.HackTheBox on my etc host file, so that will work. And -v because, once again, I'm impatient and I want to see it working. And we'll give it a second. Shouldn't take too long. You could, of course, use things like auto recon. I just learned it this way, and so this is the way I like to do it, but auto recon works as well. So what I like to do now that we have some information back is we'll scan this, not scan, we will copy this full output right here, and let's bring it over to our notes. We'll drop it in here and make it look a little bit nicer by spacing some of these things out. And let's grab SSH first, and I like to make sub-tabs for each one of these services just to keep my notes organized. So we'll say SSH is on port 22, and we will paste in the results. And anytime we are enumerating or trying to use SSH, we will record it there, just so it's easy to organize. So I made it a sub-page under that one. We'll grab port 80, same thing. We'll do HTTP port 80. Just like that. And we have port 443, of course. Okay, so if we just very quickly review some of this information, on SSH usually is not going to be the way in. We can actually record our notes here. So when it comes to SSH, it's generally not going to be the way you get into it. I mean, technically, you might be able to do some username enumeration or password spraying, but it's likely not going to be the initial access to the machine. But we can say this. When we find credentials, we can attempt to use them with SSH for authentication. So we'll drop that down. We'll say, hey, SSH is done. We enumerate it in that way. Now we have a web server running. I'm guessing it's the same web server. This just redirects. Okay, yeah. So port 80 is just redirecting us to port 443. We can actually see this right here. It says, hey, it did not follow the redirect, but is trying to redirect us to HTTPS. So we could enumerate this a little bit, but it's likely what we want is going to be right here on HTTPS. So let's see if there's anything that sticks out to me. We know that we have Nginx 1.18.0. I am quite certain that's not going to have any like low-hanging bugs as far as vulnerabilities go, but always something to note. If we were working with a real client, we would actually report this as an informational finding on a pen test saying there is version disclosure here. You don't want to return the version of your web server in HTTP headers because then attackers can research that and maybe find CVEs in ways to exploit you. So it is actually an informational finding on a pen test that you don't want to see. And if you do see it, you do. I want to see it. I want to find like RCE and everything, but the client doesn't want us to see it, but we report it to them when we find it. So let's go ahead and start making our to-do list. And on our to-do list, we will say, here's what we want to do. Let's research Nginx 1.18.0. Once again, I doubt we're going to find anything. And what else do we want to do? Well, if we hadn't already, we would want to add this to our Etsy host, nunchucks.hackthebox. I believe I already did that, but you'll want to add that to your Etsy host if you haven't already. We have just the certificate information, not too useful to us right now. Get head post options, nothing crazy there. We have, this is interesting. That might come into play later. We might have to do some research on that. But for now, I think we're just going to do some basic scanning of the web server. So what I mean by that is we'll use GoBuster for directories, GoBuster for vhosts. We will check robots.txt. Probably nothing there, but worth checking. Check the source of the page. Browse the website as a normal user. What stands out to you? Look for user enumeration. Staff page. So if you find a page that has like the list of staff, we might be able to pull some emails from there. And then we have a valid user that we can then do password spraying or password attacks. So those are the couple of things I want to check right away, and we'll see where that gets us. So I'm going to move my notes over here. Actually, I'll move them over here so I can still see Twitch chat. There we go. Let's check our mmap. Do we find anything else? No. So we know these are the only things running because these are full port scans. There's no like hidden port running. We can close that for now. And let's begin with some of our scans before we do our manual enumeration. So GoBuster, I think, is on here. Let's see. Okay, it is. So GoBuster dir-w for wordless, I believe. What do we have here? dirbuster, okay. And do we have directory list medium? I like this list. Medium.txt. And then I think it's -u for the URL. Nunchucks-.hackthebox. I think that all looks correct to me. Let's see if it works. Okay, so we have a certificate error. I think we can do -k to bypass that. Okay, so that bypassed that, but now we have another error. The server returns a status code that matches the provided options for non-existing URLs. To continue, please exclude the status code, the length, or use a wildcard switch. So we don't want to exclude the status code of 200, but we can exclude the length of 45, knowing that, hey, if the page doesn't exist, it's going to have a length of 45. So we can do that with exclude length 45, just like that. There we go. So that is working well. We'll go ahead and rename this GoBuster dir. What up, J Money? Good to have you here, my friend. We'll do GoBuster vhosts. Very similar user, share, word list. You could use seclists and stuff as well, but we'll just honestly use the same list here. Got that. HTTPS nunchucks.hackthebox-k to ignore the certificate stuff. Ooh, and there we found a vhost. I bet that's going to be our way forward. That's store.nunchucks. So we already found something. Almost certain that's what we're going to jump to next. So we have this, a lot of things here. We have this vhost that we're going to want to check out. So we already have some good information. For now, let's just navigate to the website and then we'll check this out. But before we do that, let's go ahead and add this to our Etsy host so that it can resolve. We can just space, add it there. There we go. Okay, let's see if I can get Cato working as well. So we can monitor stuff with Cato. I think. Hold up. Okay, yeah. So the cool thing about HackTheBox is you can actually set up your own script. So if I go to cd my data, cat user init. You can see I have a script here that runs every time my PwnBox starts. You can see that I am downloading Cato from the storage Google APIs. I'm saving it to my destination directory. I'm installing Cato, and then I'm trying to install a certificate for Cato. So I don't think the certificate installed properly last time I checked, but it does do everything else for me when I open the PwnBox. So although it's a cloud instance and everything disappears at once, you can set up a user init script in order to save yourself a little bit of time. So we have Cato here. Let me see if it runs. Let me rename this to Cato. Okay, so far so good. Beautiful. Log in. I'm going to stop sharing my screen just while I log in. Then I'll go back to sharing. Give me just 1 second. Yo, J Money, Cato is like better than Burp Suite Community Edition, basically. It's a web app scanner written entirely in Rust, and it's awesome. I'll show it to you. It might be a little bit buggy because I'm doing it in the PwnBox because my VM's still updating. Actually, I'm checking my VM right now before we really get deep into things. Let's see if it's almost done. It is not. My personal VM is still going through update, so we're going to continue hanging out on PwnBox. Okay, I will go back to sharing my screen. Give our instance a name. We'll call it, well, actually, we'll call it HackTheBox. So far, so good. Okay, we'll do a new project. Okay, I got it. I've used it before. So for those of you who might be new to Cato, I will just say, not to sound like a commercially person, but if you do purchase a pro edition of Cato, which is only like $10 a month, if you use the code HackSmarter on checkout, you will get $10 off and you get to support the developers. So if you do it, use HackSmarter, and that's cool. You get $10 off and I get $10 off my subscription as well. So it's a win-win. Go ahead and create. It says you've created your first project. Projects you create will show up in this table. And when you wish to switch projects, click an entry from the projects table and press the select button. Your currently selected project will show up here. We can see that right there. And we need to go ahead and get our CA certificate, sort of like Burp Suite. So what guides us over to that, we will download our certificate. And then we will go to our settings here. Certificate, if I could spell. View certificates, import, downloads. Is that the one that just downloaded, I hope? Trust. Okay. Cato should be good to go. We have our project selected, so we can go to intercept right here. The only downside of this, like in the PwnBox, is I like to do my Windows key and arrow to like snap it, to the side of the screen, but it's not going to let me do that. So I'm going to have to manually set this up. Not too big of a deal, and then we'll pull this one out and we'll pull this one over here. There. That looks good to me. And now we'll go to just because it's a self-signed cert. All right, and let's go ahead and turn on Burp. For us, it's Cato. There we go. Okay, I actually just want to make sure everything in Cato is working. So I'm going to turn on queuing. There we go. That's kind of like intercept and burp. There we go. So here it is. We could control R. Whoops, I did not control R. Fat fingered it. And replay is sort of like repeater and burp. So we can send requests. You can do automate. Automate sessions. That's kind of like intruder, convert, assistant. This is actually an old version of Cato. I need to update Cato on the Pwn box, but we have ChatGPT built into it. Hello, robot friend. And we can work with ChatGPT directly in Cato as we are doing our pen testing. And you can actually send requests to ChatGPT saying, hey, can you explain this request to me? And then ChatGPT will do it on the spot. And look at that. How can I assist you today with your web application security needs within Cato? Did you guys see that? Even personalized for us. So cool. All right, but we can turn off queuing. I just wanted to make sure everything was working. No, dude. It comes to ChatGPT. But the assistant is what's called assistant is only available to pro users. So if you want this, you need to get a pro license. But like I said, to get a pro license, it is $100 for an entire year. So that's actually less than $10 a month. And you get to support the developers and you get really good support on their Discord. If I have an issue and I message them on Discord, they get back to me within like a few hours and are super helpful. So seriously, get it and use HackSmarter and check out Cato. It's awesome. All right, now is the time to start selling things online. Let's just review this website before we get deep into it. So Nunchucks is a leading online shop creation platform which offers amazing features for e-commerce. So kind of like Shopify. Brands and shops that use Nunchucks to grow their business, blah, blah. Nunchucks is here to help you grow your business. Check out all the features. We have product marketing, branding and strategy, design and development. Start a successful e-commerce business in no more than 3 easy steps with Nunchucks. So these actually are working links. Oh, no. Okay. It's just going to that. Do we have a working sign up page? Okay, we can actually sign up. All right. Password 123 is my password. Curious what this looks like, so let's go ahead and grab this request. All right, so we are making a post request to an API sign up. We have CSRF token, and we're passing it some JSON. We're passing our email, our name, and our password. Password 123. Just curious, if we send this to replay, what does this look like? We're sorry, but registration is currently closed. So must not be the way in. We do see that version enumeration that we would report to a client, but we also know there is some type of API running here. So I actually want to grab a screenshot of that. And I don't know if I have light shot configured. Let's see. Nope. All right, let me stop sharing my screen just for a moment. Let me get light shot pulled up. And J Money said, you like it better than Burp? So I like it better than Burp Suite Community Edition, but I still use Burp Suite Pro for my day job. Just because Burp Suite Pro is the industry standard and still has a little more features. Possibly SQL injection. You're right, Bottleneck. It might be. And I'm still curious, like, I bet the way in is actually going to be that vhost that I discovered, that store or whatever vhost. So we'll check that out in a second. All right, I got that pulled up. Let me go back to sharing my screen. Here we go. And I want to grab a screenshot of this. And I want to highlight this right here. And we'll copy that. Grab our notes here. And go down to, we'll do it right here, HTTP. So some of our findings so far, we'll drop that and we'll say, might be worthwhile to fuzz the API endpoint. just so I don't forget to do that later. If we get stuck, then we can always look at our notes and say like, hey, is there anything that we missed? And if we record every detail in our notes, we have a list of things that we can go back and check. So registration is currently closed. If we look back at our Go Buster for DIR, was there anything interesting here? So we have privacy, we have login. So is there an actual login page? I don't know why I'm copying that since, I could clearly just type that, but let's see. Okay, so there, oh yeah, we were there. There is an actual login page. So what if I do like, we're sorry, but user logins are currently disabled. Just do some basic testing. That's where I bet it's that vhost. But hey, maybe it's like SQL injection on the vhost. If I send a single comma, does it give us a 500 error? No. Okay, so that's the same thing. We get logins are currently disabled. I have a feeling they're just doing that because that's not the way forward. They want you to discover that vhost. But before we get ahead of ourselves, let's see if there's anything else here. We have assets, which redirects. Do we have like directory listing on the assets page? This page doesn't exist. Okay, cool. Sign up, privacy, login, and those are just the case and sensitivity. And if we look at our vhost, we have that store.nunchucks. This is what I think is going to stand out to us a lot. Let me go ahead and grab this once again for our notes. We'll grab the results of this scan right. Oh, I did not mean to do it that way. Quit dropping down. Go like that. So we have the full syntax of our command for the client, and we can say, hey, we discovered this vhost here. Let's copy that, pull up our notes. There's the vhost. And now let's go ahead and check out this vhost and see what that looks like. Okay. Interesting. So it says Nunchucks store. Nunchucks store will be opening soon. We can change the language up here. What does that do? Okay, it doesn't do anything. We can share. That does nothing. Email does nothing. Nunchuck store will be opening soon. We can enter our email. Tyler@hacksmutter.com. I want to see what that request does. Notify me. So it's a post request to the API submit. Email, send. You will receive updates on the following email address. So we actually got a response there. So that's interesting. I seem to jump to a lurk at Awesome Point. Where'd I get some nunchucks? Dude, I don't know. I'm trying to get nunchucks myself. I'll let you know when I find some. Kid you not, I used to have nunchucks as a kid. I remember hitting myself with them on accident all the time. I watched those freaking Bruce Lee movies, and I'm like trying to fling these things around. I'd smack myself in the face. Rough. Let's highlight this, and let's highlight, hey, it's this post API submit. So that's interesting to me. What are some things that we could check on that? We could check, I mean, it's not really authentication, but it still could be vulnerable to SQL injection. So we could check SQL injection. I don't really think SSRF. Like with Burp Suite Collaborator, you can use like your name and then adding your Burp Suite Collaborator URL and you'll get emails, but I doubt this is actually sending emails, but it's giving us a response. So I'm thinking SQL injection mainly. What happens if I send it a bunch of times? Nothing. Just seeing if I can get any like overly verbose error messages. So SQL injection maybe, but let's just keep that in our back burner, and it actually prints it out to the screen. Can we do, this isn't going to be the way, but can we do cross-site scripting? This is something I would check in an engagement. Anytime I see input reflect to the screen, it's like, first I'll try like HTML injection. And if that works, I'll try cross-site scripting. Look at that. We have HTML injection on this page. So I bet we could actually do cross-site scripting. This would be a pretty good finding on an actual assessment. Isn't going to be the way forward on this, but These are the things I notice since I do this every day. Very basic cross-site scripting. Oh, did it actually filter that out? Let's see what that does. Oh, so that's a bug that they actually fixed. You'll notice when I changed it, it didn't include it in the replay request. But if you download the newest version of Cato, I said I have an outdated version. This bug's actually fixed. Okay, so it actually did go through there. Oh, we didn't spawn it. If we inspect it, well, shoot, it's there. Oh no, it commented out the scripts. We could probably bypass that. So if this is a real assessment, I'd actually spend some time working on bypassing that, and we could probably get JavaScript to execute. Right now, I'd report it to a client as a probably medium finding as HTML injection, and I guarantee you on a real assessment, I could get cross-site scripting out of this, which you could use to deface a website, steal credentials, things like that. But that's not the way forward for this. We do have this new vhost. What I want to do on a new vhost is let's run GoBuster against this new vhost. Directory scan. Should be as simple as just updating this. And we don't want to exclude length because we don't know what length to exclude right away. We'll do K so we ignore any of those weird certificate things. So it is actually exclude length of 45. So exclude length 45. Okay. We'll let that thing do its job. Get Cato pulled up, Nunchucks. Let's see. There's really not much else in here. Let's look at the page source and see if we have any dynamic scripts running. So this is basic HTML. We have our metadata up there in the head, and here's the body. We have some assets here. Do we have directory listing on these assets? That's what I'm curious about. Oh, we don't need to be queuing anymore. So we have flags. Can I go back a directory? That page does not exist. Okay. How about images? Okay. Default. We have copyright nunchucks.hackthebox. Source stuff. Okay. Nothing interesting there. So it's going to be an injection attack, I think, on that email sign-up thing or a hidden directory. So far, we're not finding any hidden directories. That's just a false positive there. Those are just assets, but we already tried that. So if we go back to the idea of some type of injection, we see it reflected on our page. It's not going to be cross-site scripting because we don't have user interaction. We need user interaction for cross-site scripting to really be useful. I will say, like, I've seen, like, on assessments before where you can do cross-site scripting and you can actually steal user session tokens and then you can take over their account. So that's why I'm always looking for, like, cross-site scripting in that way. But not on a HackTheBox machine. Probably isn't going to be the way in. So one of the ways that Cato shines is the fact that we are not rate limited. So if you use Burp Suite Community Edition and then you use Intruder, you are very much rate limited on anything you do, but not so in Cato. So if we look at like SQL injection payloads, jeez. Let's find some good payloads to just try out. And we could also, let's start simple. Okay, so we have to enter a valid email. And here's another thing. So they are doing input validation on here. So we couldn't do, like when I was doing my HTML injection that you see below, I can't do H1 XXX H1 because it says, hey, please enter an email address. But we know, this is what I would tell a client, is if you're doing validation like this, you need to validate it not only on the client side, but on the server side. When you only do it on the client side, then I can do, please subscribe at twitch.com. And it will validate it initially. But a sneaky hacker like myself can just edit it then and do whatever we want with it. But there's that little Cato bug. Like I said, though, that bug's fixed in the new version of Cato. And so if we do just a basic comma, do we get a 500 error? Nope, it says you will receive updates on the following email address. Okay, so sometimes if you do a single comma, you will get a 500 error, a server error. Ooh, here we go. This is kind of what I was looking for. So here is something we'd report to a client as an overly verbose error message. I was able to trigger the error, but this isn't really with SQL. This is just with the JSON error. But we have some version information here that might be worth digging into. So let's go ahead and grab this, especially if this is for an actual pen test. And I'll tell you why this can be helpful in the real world. So this is what we know. If we look at this error message, what are some pieces of information that we have? Well, we actually have full file path. So we know this is the file path for the website. var www and then store.nunchucks node modules body parser library types json.js, right? So we have internal paths being exposed to us. So if we are able to do a web shell or anything like that, we actually know the exact location that this vhost is being hosted at, that var www and then store.nunchucks. We have these node modules, this library read.js. This is just processing the JSON. Index.js, incoming message, emit, event, JSON, and readable int. All interesting stuff. Don't know how helpful it's going to be. Let's go ahead and just grab this information and ask our assistant about it. Appears there's a syntax there in the JSON, specifically blah blah. So you want to start your. It seems to be generated from the server-side application's code base while parsing JSON data. This could be a potential vulnerability depending on the origin and nature of the JSON data and how it is being used in the application. Okay, I'm thinking SQL injection. So we concat the email with the payload. We don't even have to concat the email with the payload since the validation for the email is only on the client side. We can just intercept it and then we can bypass their validation. I need to turn off queuing. Intruder. We'll just do detect for now. It's not going to be MS SQL because we know it's a Linux box. I'm thinking maybe MySQL, but we can just do some generic fuzzing. So let's we'll just grab all of these. Why don't we? And I'll show you guys the power of burp, or not burp, freaking Cato, I mean. Can I just download? Let me download it, please. Being slow. Download. Download, homie. Thank you. No, I want you to download that too. And we're going to load all of these into Cato. Then we're just going to spam this freaking form and see what happens. Script kiddie it up. Okay, if we go to automate, you don't have any automate sessions, blah, blah. I think if we go to replay, send to automate. Okay, so we'll call this payload, and that's what we're going to mark like that. And file, if we go to file down here, we want to browse. And if we go to downloads for me, grab all those. Oh, it's going to make me do it individually. Once again, I bet this is fixed on the newest version of Cato, since I'm working with such an old one. It's updated on my actual VM, just not on this Pomebox one, just because of the way I did it with the user init script that I showed you guys earlier. Okay, now if we go over to automate, we can go ahead and do hosted file, generic. Can I select more than one file? I can't. I wonder if you can on the newest one. Oh well, I guess we can do them one at a time, or I could just put them all into one big list. That's just fine. Let's start with like a generic union select because it's bigger. And we will go ahead. What are our settings? Number of workers, 10. Let's just do 40 because we're freaking crazy. And hit start. There we go. No rate limiting like Burp Suite Community Edition. My phone's not on silent. Let me see what's going on. Turn that on silent. Okay. Is this done? All right, so if we sort this by length, if I make this big, I'm going to have to manually resize it again. So it actually copied it in there. So this one errored out this payload right here. You can see our request. Union select version sleep 5, but we didn't get anything interesting there. I'm just sorting it by length here. All these other ones are 200s. But it's not actually giving us any good information. This is actually just copying it into the email address field. It's not like injecting it. Okay. Okay, let's go and close this out. We'll go back to payloads and let's just grab another payload. It's just generic SQL injection. Start. Done already, I believe. So if we sort it by length, see, the problem with this being SQL injection is it's giving us an error message, but it's not a SQL error message. It's just a JSON parsing message. If we can somehow exploit the JSON parser, we're not really given version enumeration. We're given this body parser stuff, but and those are all just the same error message. And then this one is actually copying it into the field, all these 200 requests. So unless we can escape this and then execute the command, so what if we do like, I don't, unmark. See if that does anything different. All right, one more thing I want to try, and then I might conclude that this is a rabbit hole. Mark our payload, and go ahead and start that one. Same thing, just JSON error if we go to 200 request. Same thing. Okay. Well, let's go ahead and just add this to our notes. We'll say payloads on the sign up form, but unsuccessful. Just so we know. Let's check my VM. Let's see how my VM's doing. Failed to authenticate. Okay. Whatever. We'll deal with that later. Okay, back to our notes. Let's look at what we have so far. Actually, let's look at our scans real quick to see if there's anything we're missing, like with directories. No. Okay, so that's about all we have for directories. That's what we have for a vhost. And we only had, geez, we don't have much yet. Must be something simple that I am overlooking. What am I overlooking? Let me know if you guys spot what it is. I guarantee you it's something simple that I'm overlooking. I'm overthinking it. Let me think for a second. Let's look at our notes. We have this API endpoint. Would be curious about that. If we have to fuzz the API endpoint maybe with like Kite Walker, I think is what it's called, or Kite Runner or something. Maybe this is a good time to check out the guided mode. I'll show that to you guys for those who might be new to that. So on each one of these machines that are rated as easy that are retired, we have, oh, this one doesn't have guided mode. Oh, that's sad. Ooh. Okay, well, that gave us kind of a hint of server-side template injection. Is that server-side template injection right here? I bet it is. I guess that does actually make sense for it to be server-side template injection. Let me show that to you guys. So if we do SSTI hack tricks, We'll take that as a hint. I don't want to look at it too much, but that at least, that's probably what the guided mode would have done as well, is just pointed us in the right direction. So it occurs when we're able to use native template syntax to inject a malicious payload. Now, I usually check this when like I have something that gets turned into a PDF. You can maybe put it in a PDF. It interacts with the server, and you can do file read or SSRF on it. We have an example of the server-side template. I think you can test it, yeah, with just 7 times 7. So like if we go to replay, if I do, oh, look at that. It is server-side template injection. That's crazy. You can see that right here, 7 times 7, and it's evaluating to 49. So we do know it is server-side template injection. Let's take a screenshot of that for our notes, something that we would, of course, want to inform the client about. And I guess note to self, check that anytime the text is reflected on the page, kind of like checking for HTML injection and cross-site scripting like I was doing initially, check for server-side template injection. I haven't seen it in this way in the real world, but hey, works for me. Highlight my payload, highlight that, and this would serve as a quick POC that, hey, it is vulnerable to server-side template injection. There's that. So we identified it. Here we go. And there's a few things we can do with it. The first step after finding template injection and identifying the template engine is to read documentation. Now, we probably are going to be able to do, yeah, we can fuzz for it. So if we grab this, just looking at how this is set up. I mean, we could fuzz it. We could probably just do this manually. So we have Java for basic injection, retrieve. I don't think it's going to be Java. I think we're looking at, maybe we're looking at free marker. We have sandbox escape. So you can just like read files with template injection, I believe. Okay. Not with that way though. Some RCE stuff. So maybe we need to identify the engine first. I think that's actually what the page told us. So if we scroll back up and we follow kind of this guide here, I think I'm getting ahead of myself. So detect. The given input is being rendered reflecting to the responses. Is a mistake for simple cross-site scripting, but it's easy to differentiate if you try to set mathematical operations with the template expression, which we did. Detect. In these cases, the user input is being placed in the template expression. You can kind of see that here. That's what it's doing with our emails, placing our email in here. So instead of greeting, it's email. If you change the greeting parameter for a different value, the response won't contain the username. But if you access something like that, then the response will contain the username. Identify. Once you've detected the template injection potential, the next step is to identify the template engine. There's a huge number of templating languages. Many of them use very similar syntax that is specifically chosen not to clash with HTML. If you are lucky, the server will be printing the errors and you will be able to find the engine used inside the errors. So let's see if we can get an error. I don't really need to copy that. It's just this, but blank. So it's not giving us verbose error messages. Infinity. Okay. So that is an error message, although I don't know if that's specific. Let's see if we can find this out. Okay, no. Because I don't think these ones will work. These type of payloads right here. Yeah, so we know it's with these double ones. And we get infinity, so it is, of course, doing that. 7 divided by 0. What if we try this? No error message. And then, of course, just that's the 49. Proving that we do have server-side template injection, but we're not sure about the engine. Otherwise, you need to manually test different language-specific payloads and study how they are interpreted by the template engine. A common way of doing this is to inject arbitrary mathematical operations using syntax from different template engines. You can use a decision tree similar to the following. Okay, so we have this one, 7 times 7. We can test it with that. Okay, so 7 times. Okay, so yes, vulnerable. So Jenga 2 or Twig. All right, let's drop that in our notes. How do you like Cato versus Burp? I really like Cato. Cato, hands down, is better than Burp Suite Community Edition, but not yet better than Burp Suite Pro. I used to use Burp Suite Pro on stream, but I recognize many people don't have access to Burp Suite Pro. What I really like about Cato is it doesn't rate limit you, and it includes ChatGPT as an assistant. I do have the Pro Edition because it's like $100 a year, and it's a good way to support the devs, and I use it on all my streams. Right now, since I'm stuck to the Pwn box because my personal VM is updating, I'm using an outdated version of Cato, so there's some bugs in it that have been fixed now, but you can even see that right here. If you click that, it's saying like, hey, you're on an outdated version. But so we think it's Jenga or Twig, right? So with that in mind, the first step after finding it and identifying key areas of interest are for template authors, security considerations, explore, assuming no exploits have presented themselves. The next step is to explore the environment. So let's look up like payloads. What can we do? Oh, here we go, Jenga. I was going to search for it, but I see it here. Oh, maybe it's not Jenga because it doesn't result in that. It results in 49. Oh yeah, dude. If you have Burp Pro, keep using Burp Pro just because it is the industry standard. So like I work as a web app pen tester for work, very new. Like I've only been pen testing for like 10 months, so still a lot of things very new to me. But we use Burp Suite Pro exclusively. Let's try this debug statement. If we do, maybe it's not Jinja, or the frick it's called. Yeah, it may not be it because this says it should result in all those 7s, but it actually does the mathematical equation or brings us a 49. That's how we know it's vulnerable to template injection. but it may not be that. So if you look at our notes, what was the other one? Twig? So, I mean, it matches this. That will result in 49, which it does. Some of these other ones aren't working, but yes, not even right syntax. Hold up, if I just copy this though. We're not running WordPress, so this is kind of a useless payload for our purposes. Geez, I'm not sure what the engine is. Any tips on where to get started other than that? Oh, hold up. I'm going to keep, this is what I'm trying to do. Self-learning on Portswigger and trying to get HackerOne and Bug Crowd. No, dude, you're in a good spot. I think if you can find bug bounties, that's awesome. Like I just recently got my first bug bounty. I made $250 off of stored cross-site scripting I found on a website, which like if you get to the interview process and you can actually share like, hey, yo, I made money doing this as a hobby, you're gonna be head and shoulders above almost everyone else interviewing. So you're using all the right resources, dude. Just be part of communities, I guess, is the other thing. If you're not part of the Work Smarter Discord community, let me drop a link. That's the community I helped found. And we host a bunch of cool meetings, cool spot to network. I just dropped the link over in the Twitch chat. Really curious what I'm missing here. We know it's template injection. Maybe it's neither Jinja or Twig. Because none of these basic payloads are working. Try one more. Like, let me just try Etsy password again. Well, that's already broken, I can tell. Oh my goodness, what the frick is the template? I guess let's just fuzz the crap out of it. Screw it. These are just like, I think we can find a better one. Does this have an intruder thing? Let's try this. Let's download this file. Let's put it in Cato, and then we will fuzz with it. Okay, and now if we go over to replay, we will send that to automate. Let's go over to automate, and we'll grab this. We'll mark it. We'll do that. However, our settings. Just up the number of workers just to make it go quick and do start. All right. Start with the biggest lengths. These are just messages, errors. So Should it screw up? Oh yeah, so it's not gonna like the format of some of these, eh? Shoot. Wow. Nothing. Why would this not work? Where's that payload at? I feel like it's screwing it up when it inputs it in here. Yeah, like this one. This one should work. I think I've been looking at this too long now. I'm getting tired. Okay, it works there. What's the difference? Is that the same thing? Frick. Oh, dude, you can participate, bro. Like when I started streaming on Twitch, it was just me working through the like introduction rooms on Try Hack Me. I was just working IT support level 1 and just wanted to get into pen testing, and like that's what I still do on Twitch. Like I make no claim to be some elite hacker. Literally, Twitch is just me doing what I was already doing offline, but just like inviting other people into the journey with me. And you know, you just don't be afraid of looking dumb. I look dumb all the time. But like even if I look dumb, I know that 99% of the people don't even have the courage to freaking share their screen and attempt this live. Or if they do, they only do it if everything's fully prepped ahead of time. They know exactly the way forward. They don't share themselves stumbling and researching and learning, which when I started, because no one did that, I just felt like terrible imposter syndrome. Like how does everybody freaking know this stuff? Then I realized they don't. It's just that they only share the best parts of themselves when they're doing a machine. They're not sharing when they spend, 45 minutes trying to figure out what template the server side template injection works on. May have to look at a walkthrough at this point. Once again, it's something silly. Like, it's something silly with my syntax. I guarantee you it is one of these two, but I don't understand what I'm doing wrong with my syntax. And so we will look at a walkthrough just far enough. Oh yeah, dude, Al Has Red is way smarter than me. He's been doing it much longer, but appreciate you putting my name and his name in the same sentence. It's an honor. Dude's really cool though. We'll keep forwarding on, and if we look at, what's this machine called? Nunchucks. We're gonna look quick, right? So close your eyes, guys. I don't want to see his introduction because it often gives too much away. All right, we're at the enumeration. We did the vhost fuzz, so we did all that correctly. We found the store thingy. Added that to Etsy hosts. He did the same enumeration we did. Oh, there's something I missed. Frick, I even wrote down saying, hey, we need to check this. I put it in my notes to check for username enumeration. Right here. Look for username enumeration such as a staff page, and look at that. I missed it. There was something here. Support at nunchucks.hackthebox. Let me actually retrace my steps because I want to make sure I'm doing this fully. Where was this at? Oh, shoot, it was there. All right, we need to grab a picture of that. I think I got too excited about the vhost that I didn't fully enumerate this page, so that's shame on me. Let's just grab this, drop this in our notes. So Tyler, be more thorough is what I'll tell myself. There are links to log in and sign up. We tried that, and remember, we couldn't do it. We looked at the HTTP response. The servers running Express, a JavaScript framework. Oh, another thing I missed. Okay, you know what? Let's stop there because that might be enough to get it. Did he just see that on the regular Nunchucks page? Sure enough, X powered by Express. Let's grab that. Little details, guys. Little details, but important details. And this is why when HackTheBox says the machine's rated as easy, this isn't easy. Even these small details, they're super easy to miss. That's a tough thing about CTFs. I'm telling y'all, like doing real life pen testing is way easier than CTFs because it's such a wider attack surface and much more holistic. The goal isn't just to get root. The goal is to give a holistic view of security for the client. But this is incredible training for that. So I wouldn't actually know what that is just by seeing it. So I want to back up a little bit. And if we were to Google it, would we be able to identify that? Have I heard of K54? I haven't. Is that another streamer? If so, drop a link. So, okay, so if you search for this, then we could come to a Stack Overflow question. So we know this, hey, how do I remove X powered by an Express.js? So we know now that it is Express.js. So knowing that, we go to like, what do we have here? Oh, just cookie signatures. That's not going to help us. All right, maybe that's not some giveaway. Maybe he's just saying, hey, we see this. He ran that against the site, which we did too. We just used GoBuster. Want to make sure I didn't miss anything on my GoBustering. I don't think I did. Store.nunchucks. We found that using vhost on our own. Enter an email. Okay. What the frick is SSJSI? So we include it in the name, but I don't think you need to include it in the name. Oh, he's just testing it. So I don't think he realized that the email verification was just on the client side because you don't have to include the email. You can just drop it in there. Oh, cool, dude. Thank you for sharing. I'll be sure to check that out. So up to this point, we have done the same thing. SSJSI, is that like server-side JavaScript injection? I've actually never heard of that. Yeah, sure enough, that is what it is. Okay, let's stop with the walkthrough. That's given us enough of a hint that we have some areas to research now. Yeah, how can injection be done? JavaScript is a client-side language. If you have any part of the code on server side which evaluates unvalidated user inputs using either of eval, set timeout, set interval, your app can be vulnerable to server-side JavaScript injection attacks. Imagine a situation where you have some code like the following being evaluated on the server side. Okay? In such a situation, the app is vulnerable to various forms of SSJSI attacks. Via the unvalidated user input, the attacker might try to create a DOS attack, try to access the file system, The above input would send the attacker the contents of the current working directory. Really, what is this witchcraft? I want to understand this better because I'm still confused how you can really interact with the server with JavaScript. I guess the eval function. Okay, I guess it kind of makes sense. So I said now service attack. The input will cause the target server event loop to use 100% of its processor time. Now alternative file system access. Another potential goal is to read contents of files from the server. For example, following two commands list the contents of the current directory and parent directory respectively. So you have to somehow combine this with server-side template injection. Oh my goodness. So that worked. How the frick do you do the SSJSI though? Oh my goodness. So there's a template engine called Nunchucks, and it's inspired by Jinja/Twig. And if we look at our notes, we said, hey, it's likely Jinja or Twig. Apparently, there's one that freaking combines them called Nunchucks. What is this wizardry? Nunchucks? Who would have freaking thought? Wow, who would have thought? Chat, did you guys know about Nunchucks? That's funny that we identified it was like Jinja or Twig, and it's in some ways both of them. Okay, I don't want to see it right up though. Was it in here? No, I don't want that. Nope, I don't. That's a downside of retired machines is when you're trying to research the machine, you will often, what is the SSTI map? You'll often come across walkthroughs. Does Hacktricks talk about Nunchucks? What the frick is it called? Nunchucks. Sure enough, it does. It doesn't look like it's going to work. Screw it. Let's just see if we can get a shell. Go hard or go home, right? .10.10.14.10, I believe, is my IP on the Pwn box. I think I have to change these to single quotes so it processes properly. Even that one might have to be a single quote. Guys, once again, if you go with minus walkthrough, that's a good idea. Once again, I'm impressed with the pwn box. Like, you guys see how smooth this is? There's not like really any lag at all. And I'm connecting to this over HTTP on VNC, and it feels like I'm actually using a local VM. So once again, shout out to the HackTheBox team. This pwn box has actually worked a lot smoother than I was expecting it to work. Only non-shout out to the HackTheBox team is, how the frick is this an easy box? But I feel that way every time I do a HackTheBox machine. Okay, where is it broken at? Where's my syntax broken at? Let me just grab this one right here. Man, it's really going to mess up. The quotations is what's killing me here. Range, so what's it doing? So if I just do this, it won't work. Oh my goodness, guys. I want to stop streaming because it's been 2 hours, but I'm just going to have to see how he did this. Yeah, but how did you enter it? I'll add backslashes to escape the double quotes. Oh, freaking duh. Gosh, I'm dumb. I think that looks good. Okay. Dang it. Did I miss a backslash? Oh, I'm doing a forward slash. What am I doing with my life? Obviously not being an elite hacker. Let's see if this works better. Right there with the King Glizzly. I always forget the freaking backslash forward slash. Like which one's leaning back, which one's leaning forward. I need to go back to elementary school. That still didn't work though. Did I miss one? What's his payload look like? So he's using this one. Is this the same one I'm using? Yeah. Oh, but he's doing Etsy password. Which, okay, let's see if we can at least file read it then. Right, so backslash there. And I'd assume backslash here. Everything else should be good, unless I really do need the email in there for some reason, but I was able to do the attack without including an email because that's just doing it on the client side. Oh no, okay, we have file read now at this point. All right, beautiful. Well, let's go ahead and grab that for our notes. So we have file read. Copy that, drop it in our notes. Okay. And let's copy that payload as well. So if we want to use it again, I don't have to go back to elementary school and figure out how backslashes work. Okay, so now that we have a working file read payload, he mentioned a website that he was using, or this post. What post is he using? Oh, this is one I was looking at. Wasn't it? Would this work? This freaking TPL map? What is this? Give me TPL map. I want TPL map. Oh my goodness, this looks beautiful. Does it support Nunchucks? Oh, it does. What are you using to screenshot and highlight specific areas? I'm using Lightshot. Lightshot's sweet, isn't it? Just free little program. It works better than Snagit and other paid programs, in my opinion. Well, it's just a syntax about printing. I think we're still good. Okay, cool. We got it working. Yeah, dude, I use it for assessments as well, like during my day job. Very quick to like put red boxes around stuff. Okay, so we have TPL map. How does TPL map work? So we give it our target URL, which is store dot. Frick, are we doing nunchucks? dot HackTheBox. Okay. Force usage of given HTTP method. I don't think we have to do that. These options have how to connect and where to inject to the target URL. Will it do it automatically? Like SQL map? I do use the attack box from THM, yeah. Like I said, I prefer my own VM, but it's still updating. But I have used the attack box. My VM broke because I typed my password in once wrong. Oh my goodness. Whatever. We're going to keep using the Pwn box. Yeah, attack box is good too. I find them both helpful, especially when I'm like not on my main computer. Just jump on my laptop, pull up the attack box or Pwn box. The Pwn box is timed though. I only have a VIP subscription, not a VIP plus, so I think I get like 20 hours a month. Attack box though, I have a VIP or I have a sub to try hack me, and you get unlimited attack box, which I appreciate. All right, guys, fingers crossed. Probably not going to work. Okay, so we actually need to send it the parameters. Okay, well we can do that. So we just want, how does it want it? If we send it data Data string to be sent through post. It must be a query string. I don't know if that's what it wants. No, I've never had it crash for me for no reason. That being said, like I said, I usually use my own VM, so I don't have extensive experience with it. Like, even, this is the longest I've ever used the Pwn box. Oh, could I just run it against, like... It would actually be API submit, right? Freaking A. I'm doing it manually. Screw this. I'm sure it's a cool tool if you're smarter than me and know how to use it. I might give up for now, guys. I'm getting tired. Well, I mean, freaking, let's just look at how OXDF did it. He's way smarter than me. Well, I guess I'll get initial access, but how the freaking HackTheBox ratings are stupid. I like their machines, but their ratings are so dumb. So he's LSing first. Just with that syntax we already had right here. Right. Like that is all he's doing. Whoops. That's the full payload. Right, so he's exploring it that way, but let's just get a shell so that we have initial access. I mean, we could also do like cat home. I mean, why the freak am I trying to cat home? Am I stupid? Yes, I am. I don't know how backslashes work. I don't know how cat works. So we have David, right? So if we ls home David. I'm not sure if this box is old or not, to be honest with you. I just picked one with like one of the highest ratings that I haven't done. That's retired. So there's user.txt. right there. So let's grab that. I don't think we need OXDF anymore. Yeah, I'm calling that a bit hard personally. Okay, and then if we LSLA, something you always want to check. I think he actually mentions this in the write-up, but this is something I check anytime I'm on a machine. Is for SSH creds. Always a good thing to check to see when you know there's SSHs open. You see if you can get access to the SSH folder, which it's here, right? Am I just blind? Pretty sure I am just blind. If we do ls, oh no, maybe not. Maybe I'm not just blind. All right, we have, those are standards. We have bash history, bash logout, bash rc, cache, config. Ooh, we have a gnupg pm2 .local.profile. Okay, I'm just gonna get a shell because I don't like doing it this way. So if we do okay, cool. We have netcat. So let's just start a listener. Yeah, dude, it's Cato. Cato's awesome. Go download it. It looks a lot better than Burp. I still use Burp Suite Pro in my main job, but Cato is what I use for all my CTFs and stuff. Cato's way better than Burp Suite Community Edition. And I also don't like OWASP's app because OWASP's app reminds me of 90s MySpace. I think that's the right syntax. The frick is a syntax? Isn't it just IP port -E and then like, yeah, okay, that's what I did. Maybe netcat doesn't want to work for some reason. That's fine. We can use like Python or something. We could also just upload a shell and execute it as well. We have a bunch of ways we get a shell. If the Python 3.1 doesn't work, I'm just going to create a shell with like MSF Venom and we'll upload it to the machine. That's what I'm thinking. Let's try this one. Why is word wrap not on? The frick do I turn on word wrap? What? Whatever. There is a .ssh? Am I just blind? Did I just not see it? I'm going to go with yes. Yes, Tyler. You just didn't see it, dude. Step your freaking game up. No, that's correct. Like that. Hold up. Where's the .ssh y'all are talking about? I don't see a .ssh. How did zero? I thought I saw that as well. What's this machine called? Gosh, I can't type. Oh no, guys, he's making the SSH directory and then adding his public key, and then okay, that's one way you could do it. How do I get a shell though? Because I wouldn't have thought of that way. I did it on the red team capstone if I remember right, but I don't think I would have thought of that way. Why is my shell that I'm trying to get not working? Is my question, but I might call it a night because I'm getting very tired. And it's a lot harder to do this stuff when I'm tired. Let's just try this type of payload. Just make sure my command's actually working now. Okay, good. The command's still working. I didn't like break the base command. All right, guys. I'm calling it a night. I'll get user next. I'll probably just follow his method, but that wasn't the method I was going to do. I guess eventually maybe I would have done that when none of my shells are working. I just don't get why a shell doesn't work. I want to test one more thing for testing. If I just try to hit my machine with netcat, does that work? Dude, it's freaking Nunchucks or some stupid crap. It's not Jinja and it's not Twig. It's both. That's what threw me off for a very long time. Okay, so it's connecting there. Interesting. Do I need to like... If you don't want to see a spoiler, don't look. I had to do something similar on this machine. I wonder if this would work. I don't remember what IP's in here. All right, last chance. I don't have a vlog about my DEF CON experience. Maybe I'll put one together though, but nope, I don't got anything. Not yet. It was fun. We had a bomb threat on Saturday, so that was cool. Not really, but we really had one. Wasn't cool though. All right, let's use this one. Am I listening? Okay. Nope, that doesn't work. So maybe you do, like, the only way to do it is to create an SSH folder and then echo your public key in there. I'll do that on the next stream. Guys, it's late. I've been talking nonstop for 2 hours and 20 minutes, so gonna call it a night. We'll get user on the next one, but we did a bunch of enumeration, learned a lot of good stuff about server template injection and server JavaScript injection, which I've never heard of in my life. But hey, we learned some new stuff. Now, generally speaking, guys, I'm not on Thursday nights. I try to just stream one night a week because this can really get tiring talking, but I was stuck on a previous machine and wanted to finish it. So that's why I jumped back on. Should be back on Wednesday around 9 p.m. Central Time. So guys, thank you for hanging out. Appreciate you taking the time and stumbling through this with me. I will catch you guys in the next one. See ya.